This is Baruch Fleischman, your lift manager for the Tikkun Elevator Kollel, speaking to you today on Rosh Chodesh Teves. This is the second day of Rosh Chodesh. We have a shir for Shabbos. Today the moon is in the constellation of Capricorn, which is the same place that the sun is. Now we see the phase. What phase is the moon in here? It says that there is a moon. It's a waxing crescent. Crescent. It means the crescent means the idea of what its illumination is. So it's starting to grow now. So they could start seeing it. It's 3.18 days into the growth of this. So I have to follow it throughout the month, and we'll see how it goes. But at any rate, we're in the Zohar today. The Zohar. This is the Zohar of the first Zohar, Rosh Chodesh Kislev. This is number 1. It's in the Matok M'dvash. It's in Parshas V'yigash on Pei Shin Zayin. And in the Zohar, it's on Daf Reish Vav Amud Beis. So the Zohar starts. Let's see, make sure I got the right place. So I'm a Rebbe. No, I'm in the wrong place. Oh gosh. Maybe I am. I'm in the right place. Okay, so the Zohar starts like this. It's at the top of the page. It says, Rebbe Yehuda, Rebbe Yossi, Aro B'Kfar Hanan. So the Matok can translate based to Noyim, these two great rabbis. So they both came to the same hotel outside of a place called Hanan, Kfar Hanan. So I'm going to skip the parenthesis here. So before they got settled into their rooms, Zohar, also so a man came, and there was a man that came, and there was one, it says, with a burden, a donkey burden, maybe a donkey with a burden, and he went into his house. So I really don't understand the word masa chamor, which means a load of a donkey. So one man, could you say it's a donkey load, or is it something else? The fun of Benedictus the bias that came before him, and it went into the house. So right now they were waiting there, and Rabbi Yehuda said to Rabbi Yossi, there's a little shtickle Torah here. So he says, we learned it in Gemara, and he says that Masechtas Brachos Daf Gimel Amud Beis. The David Malka Chavet Mitznamnem Kasus. The David HaMelech used to sleep like a horse. We go to the Zohar. V'shen said Zeir, and he slept only a very small amount of time. Let's read the Matok. V'shinaso Choyu Sham, at this, it was a very small moment. Kashinas Asus, like the same way that a horse sleeps. Doesn't sleep much. So he's a kosher, but it's a problem. So what's the problem? If he's sleeping, how does he get up at the middle of the night? So we're not, if that's the case, so we said that, well, he's not getting up at the midnight. Lila, akum lahodis, in order to, how could you say that? That's what he says. He says, how could you say that he got up at midnight in order to give praise to Hashem? Because the time that midnight actually hits a very small moment. So he says a very small amount. And even if we would say that he got up at the end of at the first 1/4 of the night, there's still a problem. Because for the beginning of the night, ad sof meishmar rishona, who gam came kamshaus. It's not like a moment like a horse sleeps. It's really quite a bit of time if you're going to figure that period of time. That's because of lo haba is ara filu beslus leila. So he said lo shayak lomer. You can't say now the filu shenis ora the kum b'shlish alayla. Even if he got up got up at the after a third of the night, Shuhu Sof Mishmar Rishona, which is the end of that Mishmar. Ki Muchach Lomer Sha'achas Zaman Moed, because you still have to say that after a small amount of time, Shuhoya Yashan Kam Shinaza, that he got up after a certain amount of time from his sleep. He was sleeping. Kevin Shiyashan Rakashinas Asus, but since he's sleeping only like a horse, Shahiz Zaman Moed. So I think what he's saying, it's a little difficult for me to understand what he's saying. Let's go on, because he says that, how does he get up exactly at midnight? Midnight is exact time. So how does he get up at midnight if he's sleeping like a horse? I mean, what part of it was he sleeping or not? So let's go a little bit more. So Amar the Rabbi Yossi, the Rabbi Yehuda. So Rabbi Yossi said to Rabbi Yehuda, Masha Kasa Chatzos Laila Akum Lechodos Loch. So where he says that I get up at the midnight in order to give thanks to you. We're not trying to say that he started to sleep at the beginning of the night. Like the way that you laid this out, the simple way you laid this out is the idea that how does he get up exactly at that time if he's sleeping during that period of time? But that's not the case. He said, the Ahulelia Hava, the Ahulelia, is because when the night started, Havu Yasivim Raver Vebeso, so he was sitting with the Chachomim around him. The Doin Din of Asib and Bida Doraisa, so he was really working on Torah, learning Torah, and he was doing Dinim the whole time. Bishasha Niklas Alayla Hoya Yoshivim called Gedoli Beso, so all of the heads of his house. But Don is a Dan, and he was doing judgments. And he was working on the Torah, until he got near to that amount of time. He says, and then at that moment, then he went to sleep a little bit, and he got up, and he slept until midnight. So after doing all this business in the first part of the night, and then he came and he did a little bit of sleep. Kashir Osa Zaman Moed and Nikrapacha B'Shiti Nishamin. So let me translate this. He says, how long did he actually sleep? So he says, Shenaso Ad Chatzos Halaylo. He slept until the middle of the night. Osa Zaman, a particular time Moed, was very short. And Nikrapachas B'Shiti Nishmin. So it's called less than 60 breaths. Then he would get up at midnight, and he would work on the master's work, that is, of the Beshira and V'tishbalcha, and he would sing, and he would give praises to the Almighty. So the Matok said, so he immediately got at Chatzos. Let me just check this recording. It's working. Okay. So he says, B'chatzos halayla. So he started singing and praising Hashem and crying out to the Shekhinah. So this is the reason why he says that in the middle at midnight he got up to give praise to you. So he says that according to this argument that what's going on between them, exactly what time it was and when it started, how much sleep did he get, it turns out that both of them agree. So the Nibsa Rebbe Yehuda Rebbe Yosu Shneim Hevino, they both understood. Nishamim, so 60 breaths. This is a certain amount that we would say is sleep. But that man that he was talking about was with a donkey burden, right? So at that moment, this particular man spoke up. So he says, he says that that's really what's going on in this story. With the Gemara is trying to talk about it. The way you said it. That we say that the amount of 60 breaths, whose zaman ma is considered a certain amount that is sleep. Duki Raza the Melo, but he says you have to understand there's a secret over here. Yeshkan so be'inyan the hot David Malka, Chai B'Kayim, the Olam Olam Olmim, that David the Melech is living forever. David the Melech, Choy Chai B'Kayim, the Olam Olam Olmim. He lived forever, or lives forever. The fish Shohoy Tamed Achos B'Tzad the Kedusha V'Chachayim, because that everness, that everlastingness, is because he was continuously holding on to the side of Kedusha and life. But David Malka Chavid Nater B'Kol Yumoy Doloki Tam Misa. He's very careful, David the Melech, his whole life long, not to taste the taste of death. Let's see what he says, the Matok. But David the Melech Nishbar Kol Yamad, he guarded himself his whole life. Shelo Yutom Tam Misa Al Yedei Rashina, that he should not taste the taste of death through sleep. Begin the Shinsa Chad B'Shitin B'Misa Ihu, because we understand that sleep is 1/60th of death. The Vishashina Ki Achad B'Shishi B'Misa. For David, now David, begin Duchte de Ihu Chai. For David B'Shvil Makomo, but now David, because of his place, I understand that, just thinking that in the Parsha that we're in, it's the beginning of the Yiga, where Yehuda, who is the ancestor of David, Yehuda is now going to come before Yosef, and he's going to start arguing with him, or pleading before him, and threatening him at the same time. Yehuda is Malchus. It's a whole big secret over this. Yehuda is a man. Malchus we always see as a female entity. So it turns out that Yehuda is a man. David HaMelech is also Malchus. He's at the very bottom of everything, underneath it all, holding it all on his shoulders, so to speak. And he's very particular about this. Now, how could it be, the question comes up, and so how could it be that Malchus, which is female, has a king who's a male? So it begs the question, it's possible that Malchus, like everything else, is male and female. Yaakov and Rachel. That's what the Rav calls them. That's the Zohar calls them. Let's go on a little bit. I'm sorry I went over here. I apologize if it got you off the track, but it's a thought that runs in here. But David befil makom of Shorsha, because David, because of his place, that's why I brought in Yehuda over here. Of his Shorsha b'Malchus, and his root is in Malchus, the Tzilus. The Kedusha Shohoy B'Soda Chaim, so the Malchus of Tzilus is the secret of where life comes from. And he is that, tied to that. Ki tachtis amaschilos madregos amisa v'hakali. Because underneath Malchus, already once the Malchus of Atzilus, which is the bottom, or let's say also the most outside part of Atzilus, going further down or further out, you start getting into the world of splits, where the world is now no chodesh anymore, but it starts getting into what the levels of death and shells, emptiness. Lo havanoyim elashite nishman, he wouldn't sleep more than 60 breaths. Elachein lo choyu yosham elashishi nishimos pachos nishima achas, so he always slept 60 breaths less one. Why? Shuhu sod sheish shawos of rishonu shalalayla, which is the secret of the first 6 hours of the night. Shuhu keneged chetzi ha'elyon v'hatov shal kali noga, which corresponds to the upper half, that is the good half of what is called the Kali Noga. I'll explain a little bit. Umisha yasha bechem hein mat hein harbe, and a person that is sleeping during this part of the night, that's the first hour, 6 hours, or what, first third of the night of darkness. So anyone that sleeps in this place, and that's time of the night, is called 60 breaths short one. Because that amount, talking about David HaMelech also, that amount, which is again 60 breaths less one, in other words 59 breaths, because a person who's doing 59 breaths instead of 60, so the Shema Achaz, that person is alive. Shuhu HaKadusha. That's a little complicated deal here, what he's saying. Mitama the lahala. So for now, we're going on in this. Once chatzos, the point of chatzos is passed, so when the person hasn't wakened from his sleep, Tamu bar nash time of the most. Then a man at that time is sleeping with the taste of death. And now he is under the control of the side of Tuma. So now he's under control of the Chokas Achali. And through this, he finds himself in that side of the line that the Klipa Noga has two sides to it. And he finds himself in the side of the bad side of the Klipa Noga. Now let's understand what the Klipa Noga looks like. On the top part of the Klipa Noga is a split. It's a Klipa that is really attached to us all the time. And in its way, part of it is a very strong agent of the side of Tuma, and part of it is not. The other side has some kedusha about it. So the question is which one rules? So he wants to say that in the first part of the night, that part that we're talking about, the shishim nimim choser achaz, in other words, 59 breaths, that part of the night is the part of the night which is more pure. So therefore, that would be the top part of the noga. But the lower part, which corresponds to a body, let's say, what's the lower part of your body all about? Sex. So that part slips into the part of the noga, which is deeply attached to what we call the El Lamed, Yud Lamed, which we pronounce Polonis, the force of the female seducer. So this is basic idea of laying that out. So let's go on a little bit. That's what it meant, that David was very careful, that he wanted to taste the taste of death, which means that falling below the level of the good part of the Kali Noga. So he said, Velosh Yashli Beis Sitra Derucha Achra, they should not be under control of any other kind of side. Velo Yishlo the love Hatzad Sharuach Acheres, the other kind of spirit, Shal the Kali, which is the Kali, which we said is called the Kali of the Polonis. Begin the Shite Nishme Chaser Chad, the Fi Shashishi Nishimos Chaser Nishima Achaz, because 60 breaths that are mixed one, in other words, 59 breaths. Yashin, that's where you sleep. Haida B'Shei Shalos Rishon Shalolaylo, this is like the 6 hours of the night. That's the first 6 hours. Ihu Raza Dahaim de la Eilach Ad Shite Nishme. So he says this is the secret of the upper force of life, which goes until the 60 breaths. Din and Shitin Nishme Elohim, which are the same thing. He translates that there are Shehem Bechina Shishin Nishimas Elyonos, that the 60 upper breaths. That is breaths of the inner world, the breaths of the spiritual world of Kedusha. V'ilan Razin de Lahom D'Talia Bahom Chai. And what we're seeing over here is that the secret of them, that life, what we call life, is dependent on them. That is, the first part of the noga is a force of life. It's attached to us and it breathes into us. It's like what we say like this, from the chest upward, attached to us in a spiritual world, is this Kali Noga. But the Noga is really outside of Kedusha. So we want to be careful of it. So therefore, David HaMelech is being very careful about his Kedusha. And so therefore, he never sleeps 60. Because if the whole 60 breaths are slept, then he winds up in the Kali Noga, on the bad side of the Kali Noga. Let's go, that's the bottom line. And Mekan the Latata, from that part downward. Mekan the Lamata, the Haida Min Shishin Bishmi Sheyashin V'Avrach V'Lav Chatzas Laila B'Shina. So therefore, a person who sleeps and he winds up going through the night, that is, he always sleeps through midnight. Raza the Mosahu, this is now the secret of entering into the path of death. Who sod Hamisa, who Yored Bechetze HaRa, because now he's gone into the bad part of the night, the Kali Noga of the Kali Noga. David Malka Chafid B'Shar Shiura the Leila begin to Yizkayim B'Chayim. So for this reason, therefore, David Hamelech Hoya Mishayir Shir, he would measure a certain amount of the night, the Das Masai Hun the Kudus Chatzos, to know what time is the point, the exact point of Chatzos Laila. Kadesh Yiskayim B'Chayim, so you get up, wake up before that point, or at that point exactly, either before or after, in order to be able to be on the side of life. The lo yishlok bei tamid demuth. Shelo yishlok bo, should not be control of him, the taste of death. Mitzad harosh of the kali noga, be from the side, the evil side of the kali noga. Im ya'aver ovelav chatzos laila b'shina, if he passes over the midnight in sleep. So when the night split, David miskayim ba'asrei u'shagia the kudus etzos, when the point of the etzos came, etzos laila choyu David omed the miskasher b'makam sharshu, there at that moment he would awaken, tie himself to the place of his root, sheba malchus, which we said is the malchus of the tzilus. Because now he is praising that Shekhinah and he's glorifying her, and he's saying all the possible wonderful songs he could sing. Begin to cut Isar Palgul Lelya Bekisra the Kedisha Sar, because at midnight, when the crowns of holiness are awakened, let's go on with the Zohar. It's very important to David that he not miss that moment, at that moment is when the crowns of heaven are open to him, and that is of the Malchus Vatzilos are open. He makes it tied to that, and he doesn't want to be 1 second on the other side of that, because he says that the David Miskasher Ba'azer Achra in another place. That's the wrong place. Ba'azer the Musa, in the place where death is found. Let's go on. And we have a little blurb here from the Matok M'dvash. Now explain this further. So where he kind of hid the way that he was talking at the beginning. Where he says there are 60 different levels of life force. And then after that, he's counted the light, he's splitting it in two, right? There's the first 6 hours, the second 6 hours. So in the first 6 hours, he says it's Chaim. The next 6 hours is death. He says, that's when the time of death and the Kali comes. Pirush Matok, so explain this, he says like this. At that point, which is called Nitzos Alayla, everything depends on this. The 6 nights of the light, Sha'ad Nekudus Nitzos, that come before that. Called Shida Shayashem A'ada. So any amount of sleep that a person sleeps at that time, who can negate the Shitim Nishmim and B'Shon and Yonim, this corresponds to the 60 upper breaths that we had said before. Bebechidas Chetzi Tov, the Noga, which is the part of the Kali Noga, the Klipa, which is called Noga, which is really on us, around us all the time, is talking to us all the time. So that he wants to be on that side he's sleeping at that side, which is the good time. But after that, then it enters into the time of Mitzvah, Shalchetzi, the Kali Noga, of the bad part of the Kali Noga, which is the Kali of Polonis. And this can lead you into the real big Kali, which we could talk about another time, because there are Kali that don't have any good associated with them. They're just straight bad, and we can fall into that too. And he's saying, how do you do that? Through the Kali Noga, the part of it which is bad. That he says that the 60 breaths that we're talking about, it's not talking about a certain amount of time. Everything depends on whether you're talking about before or after Chatzos. So let me see. We've gone a long way, and I have 2 more pieces to do, and it's still taking time. So he said, so now he concludes and he says, begin the kad ispling lelya ugdusha ilah isar. So when the night splits, and now there is an opening into the upper kedusha, ubar nash the noim ba'arse v'lochav isar la'ashgacho b'yakol demari. So a person then sleeps right through it. He doesn't get up for the purpose of giving honor and for the glory of his master. So how do we do that? By learning Torah and singing songs. How is kasha beraza the most of that person gets tied up in the secret of death, and he winds up clinging to another place. Let me go down in the Zohar a little bit further. David and for this reason, because he understands that on the other side of Chatzos is the side of the rishos of the Noga, he guards against going into that place. So he says always guards against that place, because what? He is looking out for the glory of his master always. Now, let me translate it into the Matok. Va'alkein David HaMelech shechoyev mushrash b'malchut, because David HaMelech, whose soul, his inner essence, is tied to the malchus of Etzilus. Hoyakam b'nekudas etzos. Why did he do that? He got up at midnight, l'hashgich b'kavod kono, in order to look out for the glory of his master. He is tied to this now, Talmud, continuously. Why does he want to deal and be learning at this time? And why does he want to be singing songs and giving praises to Hashem? So that he shouldn't fall into the level of the Kali and death, which is down below on the second half of the night. Chai legabe chai. He is the aspect of life itself, that he never tasted the taste of death as a result of sleeping. He was tied to the malchus of Etzilus, the kedusha of a kedusha, which is the concept of life force and holiness. Because below that is where Misa and the Kali that really kill are found. Below Noam B'Shins of the Talmud of Moses, so he never slept past that point because he didn't want to taste the taste of death. So for this is the reason why he slept just like a horse, because he was worried. He didn't want to go past it. He was very careful and very urgent about this. Below B'Shlimo, he never slept his full night's sleep. Now let's go down and finish this Zohar very quickly and just read a few lines of this. Also, Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yosef and Ashkuhu. After listening to this man who had a burden of a donkey, or a donkey burden, or some burden that's associated with a donkey, started to speak, they got up and they kissed him. They said, what's your name? He says, Amalechu Chizkiah. He says, my name is Chizkiah. So they tried to give him a blessing, or they gave him a blessing similar to his name. Amale Yisyasher Cheloch V'Yiskayim Araisoch. So make your power straight and strengthen your Torah, your light, which is also your Torah. That's actually the end. There's a little bit more, but it goes on to the next piece, which we hope we're going to get to. We are in Parshas Vayigash, and this is Baruch Fleischman. Thank you for listening, and keep up the work of the Tikkun Elevator call out.